Welcome to Uncut with Lucia, and thank you for joining us. Today, we are speaking with Heather Mathis. Heather is a retired professional model and is now working in the world of nutrition, fitness, and wellness. Her book, Paid to be Perfect: The Secret to Finding Your Perfect, is out now. So, my dear Heather, I'm so happy to have you back. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me back. I enjoyed talking with you the first time we did this, and I'm just thrilled to be back. So thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. And Heather, you started modeling at the age of 18. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes. So I started modeling professionally, doing print, runway, and showroom since 1988. And then one of the clients that I was working with regularly asked me one day back in the mid 90s to get measured by their pattern making team to see if I matched up to their fit form or their mannequin. Um, and I did. So it was luck of the draw that I happened to become their fit model. And it just kind of happened randomly. And so, what fit modeling is, for those who don't know, essentially is working with pattern makers, designers, and merchandisers as a body twin to that company's in house fit form to perfect the fit of a garment. And then that garment is then graded up and down and then mass produced. And so, I had to be plus or minus a quarter of an inch to their fit form. And, how I developed my nutrition and my wellness methods and all those habits throughout the year is really how I became paid to be perfect. And then I wrote a book, and that's what I share in my book. Everything that I've done throughout the decades of my modeling career. And yeah, it's all in there.
What made you transition to a world of nutrition, fitness, and wellness?
Well, I started off what I would call as like a junk food vegetarian. I never really liked meat. So I kind of gravitated naturally towards a vegetarian diet. And it wasn't a healthy vegetarian diet because I really didn't know what a healthy vegetarian diet was. Then, when I got my first contract in fit modeling, I was 26 back in 1996, and I had to start pay attention to pay attention to what different foods did to my body, because I had to stay within plus or minus of a quarter of an inch to their fit form, which is a very small tolerance. And different foods really do a lot of different things to your body. So I just started to make a mental note of what those foods were that kind of worked for me, and what foods really didn't work for me. And I found that not only those were the foods that made me look good and stay within contract, but those were actually the foods that made me feel good. So it really shifted to what makes me look good and what helps me stay within my contracted measurements, to what actually makes me feel good. So then I just basically ignored my contracted measurements, because I was naturally what I was at that size. I naturally stayed there effortlessly and easily. So the kind of the point of my book is to help the reader find their own natural size. And I go about, describing how to do that in my book, but essentially it's backwards from what we all usually try to do. We all try to be a specific size. We all try to step on a scale and be a specific weight. But what I propose is something completely opposite of that. What I propose is to pay attention to how foods make you feel, and find your natural size based on that. And then you'll know what your size is, and then you can check in with the scale to see if that's where you naturally are as you go along. But it's really the opposite, I think, of what we all try to do. We all try to put ourselves into this particular box, and that's what I learned early on in my modeling career. Didn't really work. I went with what my natural size was, and then I found that the foods that made me feel good were the ones that supported my natural size easily, effortlessly, without willpower, without portion control, without calorie counting, without any of that stuff that stresses us out. So one last thing I'll interject here is that the other main thing in my book that I like to convey to the reader is that a lot of people have stress and guilt around their food choices. And that's also the thing that I just think that we have backwards. I think that food is designed to bring us pleasure. We all need food. We all need to eat food. And so, why be stressed out about something that we're all going to do absolutely every single day of our lives? So to find those foods that give you those feelings, those innate feelings of goodness that make you feel like you're thriving, that make you feel satiated, that give you energy throughout the day so that you can enjoy everything that's on your plate. And for those special foods that maybe don't innately make you feel good, you save those for your treats, for your weekly treats. But there's nothing that's off the table, and it's a beautiful way to eat, and it's a beautiful way to live. So I really try to give that to the reader.
Yes, and I'm so looking forward to reading your book, because I think we can learn so much. You experienced it for many, many years during the time you were working as a model. And Heather, how did the modeling impacted your body image?
In the beginning, I would say that I was probably more insecure, just, being a younger model. You always think, well, first of all, if you walk into any client on any casting, you're either too tall, you're too short, you're too, this or you're too that with any client. So if you don't have thick skin, you're going to get, ripped apart pretty quickly. So you have to kind of learn to take everything with a grain of salt. Any comments that you're getting, any feedback that you're getting. So there's that. So I would say I started off being a little bit more insecure, but then I heard that I'm always to this, to that, or the other. So we are all to this or to that or to the other. You know what I mean? So I just kind of became like, okay, well, today I'm too tall, today I'm too short, today I'm too skinny, today I'm too fat. Whatever. Just it's fine. I am who I am. So I think I began to just start to ignore it almost, because I'm just like, okay, that's today. And then also another interesting thing about my career is that I spent a lot of time in front of a mirror. So I would stand with pattern makers and designers in front of a three-way mirror for I can't even tell you how many hours I've stood in front of a three-way mirror, looking at my body. So it kind of erased all those misperceptions that when we normally look into a mirror. I think a lot of women see things that aren't there. They see thighs that are gigantic, or their stomach is just wrong, or they're whatever. They hate their nose, or I don't care. They see these things that are just magnified imperfections of what is really there. So I spent so many years and hours in front of a mirror that I think I just kind of, started to finally see what was actually there. Okay, it's my thigh is this measurement. It's not big. It's not small. It's just my thigh, and it's this measurement. So I see myself in a very realistic, straightforward way, my body. And that really helped, becoming a mom and going through body changes, and afterwards, my stretch marks on my belly and things. Well, they're stretch marks. And guess what? It's funny because I did a plank in front of my son once, and I had on, shorts, and my belly, you could see my stretch marks and some extra flabby skin, hanging down a little from my, and that's just the way it is now, because, my son stretched out my belly. And so so my son's like, what's that extra skin? And I go, it's thanks to you, dude. Like, that skin is because of you. And I'm proud of that, because it made me a mom. So all of those years that I technically you would think would cut down my self-esteem, in a weird way just made me at one with what is. I am who I am, and I am 100% who I am. There's nothing I can do about it, short of surgery or other means, and I'm okay with that. So I also hope to convey that through my book, of helping women understand that shapes and sizes are all unique. We're all individuals, and we're all perfect exactly as we are.
I love when you say that we are perfect the way we are. And actually, what does perfect mean to you, Heather?
Well, perfect is a really tricky word because, none of us are perfect, in the strictest sense of that word. But innately, we're all perfect. We're all perfect exactly as we are. We're all going on our journeys through life that are, unique, individual, and perfect just for us. And we all kind of land, at that spot in our lives that's perfect for us. So I think for me, perfect is it's a balance of doing the things that work for you, and then it's also a balance of doing special things like giving yourself treats, kind of getting yourself off your habit, but really finding that place where your life kind of just effortlessly, seamlessly works without having to think about it too much. Like, for example, I don't really have to think about my nutritional choices that much because I absolutely know what works for me. And so I take everyone through my book and try to show them how to find the foods, the clean whole foods that work for them, so that they can just effortlessly kind of get through life, knowing that they have foods that satiate them, that nourish them, and that keep them healthy without having to think too much about it. So perfect is a balance, and it's also a journey. It's an appreciation, outside of nutrition and outside of fitness. It's an appreciation of just where you are, how far you've come. It's an appreciation of, even though you have those bumps in the road, just kind of being like, okay, I know this is a difficult moment, and we're all going to have those difficult moments and those difficult times in our lives, but just somehow kind of having an understanding that at some level we're going to get through it, and it's a part of the journey. So perfect is really an appreciation of our own individual unique journey through life.
Oh, I love this definition.
Thank you.
Yes, and Heather, you mentioned something interesting about figuring out what size your body wants to be, not really what you want to be. How do you find out what Mother Nature intended for our body?
I think we don't fight against, Mother Nature. I think that's the best thing we can do. I think that social media, and different, you know, actors and actresses, they put a lot of pressure on us. The media in general puts a lot of pressure on us to feel like we need to look a specific way. But at the same time, there are those people on social media, the influencers that really show you their own natural imperfections, you know what I mean, that are perfect. So if you follow the right people, and if you kind of feed your mindset the right information, I think you can start having an appreciation of wherever you are, and then that can only lead to choices that you want to even feel better and better and better. I think it's really not fighting against where you are, because we're all in a place, and we're all changing, and we're all aging. We're all evolving, and none of us are ever going to be exactly like we are at this moment again. So I think, because I think it's funny, because you'll see pictures of yourself, from 10 years ago or 20 years ago, if you're as old as I am, which is in your 50s. You'll see pictures from 30 years ago, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I looked amazing, and you didn't even feel amazing in that moment. So I think to shift that around, and be like, I look absolutely amazing right now, and that's great. I look amazing. The other person that has a shape completely different from mine looks amazing too, and this is exactly where we are in this moment. So anything that you can do to kind of give yourself that acceptance of, I am okay right where I am, but what else can I do to make me feel just a little bit better? And that's how you then naturally gravitate towards foods that support that, towards moving your body 30 minutes every day at least, to give yourself some fitness, which is important for all of our bodies, not to look a certain way, but to feel a certain way. The look a certain way comes along with that as a wonderful side effect. So just giving yourself that support of feeding your mind the right things, feeding your body the right things, and then you just literally land where Mother Nature intended you to be.
Yeah, Exactly. And I like when you say exercise 30 minutes a day. For example, I used to go to the gym every day and attended so many classes. And anytime I would miss a workout, I would feel guilty. I was used to feel guilty, and it became a chore for me. It was not like I was going there because I was happy. And I know I am not the only one. And Heather, you know why we exhibit this type of behavior?
Well, I think that the most important thing that anyone can do in their fitness routine is to find an activity that they enjoy doing every day. I think, I saw on Facebook there was an ad for this woman who was promoting her own workout routine,
Mhm.
and it said, "Don't run." Because you're not going to burn calories the right way, your metabolic resting rate won't be, what it would be if you follow, unless you follow my workout, unless you do what I say you have to do. So my first bit of advice for any fitness routine is to ignore what anybody else is doing, ignore what I'm doing, ignore what that person says that if you don't work out this way, you're not going to burn calories the right way. I'm not going to lift heavy weights because I don't like heavy weights. It's just not what I like to do. Okay. So I'm not going to do that every day. But if you do find, that even just walking around your neighborhood for 30 minutes, walking your dog or riding a bike or, whatever it is, just for 30 minutes, dancing, even if it's just putting on your favorite music in your kitchen while you're making your food and dancing around, whatever it is that brings you joy, you're going to look forward to it every day and not feel like, oh, I have to do that. I have to go to this place, go to this gym and do this workout, or find, I don't have to buy this particular exercise equipment and have this exercise thing in my house. It's not about, forcing yourself into some, regimen that you don't even like, and that you feel guilty about if you don't do. It's about finding that movement that if you don't get to do it, then you feel gypped. You feel like, oh shoot, I really wanted to, like even today, as a matter of fact, I was getting on my running clothes. I checked my phone, I checked the weather, and I'm like, okay, I have an hour until it rains, on my phone. And so I got on my running clothes. It probably took me longer than I thought. All of a sudden, when I got all my running clothes on, I heard psh, it started thundering, and I was like, ah. And I was like bummed, because I wanted to go for my run. So that's what fitness should feel like. It should feel like a joy. It should feel like a pleasure. It should feel like, and maybe it won't right in the beginning if you're not moving your body, but eventually, if you're feeding your body the right types of food that support it, and you're moving your way in a way that's enjoyable to you, eventually you'll feel really, gypped if you don't get to do that workout.
Yeah, absolutely. Nowadays, I love playing tennis, playing volleyball, and I feel so happy. And I don't feel like it's something mandatory. I just burn the same calories and I'm happy. And I think it's so important that you focus more on weight maintenance as opposed to promoting weight loss or weight gain. So, how can someone make fitness and healthy eating a habit? Do you have some tips for us?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to make a decision of how you want to feel. Um, and like you just said, I talk about maintaining your weight. I talk about weight consistency, not gaining or losing, massive amounts of weight, because I really think that vacillating between different extremes, unless you're, going through a specific health issue or something like that, I think our bodies are meant to be at a range, a healthy range, for us without going, hugely bigger, much smaller. So I do talk about weight maintenance, weight consistency versus trying to be skinny. I don't talk about being skinny at all. That's a different book. That's not my book. Some diet book. My book is not a diet. It's just an approach to life. So the first step, first and foremost, is to make a decision of how you want to feel. That's the most important thing in your nutritional choices, in your fitness journey, in your mental health. How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel sluggish? Do you want to feel tired? Do you want to feel satiated when you eat? Or do you want to feel hungry an hour later because you ate a bunch of processed stuff that doesn't really nourish your body? Do you want to feel like you can get through that workout that you're going to do next day and the next day and the next day without even thinking about it because your body's got the proper fuel for it? We all pay attention to how we, fuel our cars, but this is our one body. How do we fuel our body to make it perform exactly the way we want it to perform, right? And to feel good and to have energy to play with your kids or to play with your grandkids. So the first thing is really, how do you want to feel? That's really the most important decision I think you can make in life. And then the second thing would be to determine those steps that get you to how you want to feel, and then create healthy habits based on those steps, and just continue to incorporate those habits on a daily basis. And lastly, to really understand that you're going to break those habits as often as you need to. And that's okay. That's all a perfect part of the process. It's a perfect part of your journey. I break all kinds of habits all the time, but I was just out of town for the weekend, broke a bunch of habits and did different things that I don't normally do. And then it feels good then to reshift when I come back during the week to kind of go back, and that's we're all going to have our little ebbs and flows, and that's okay. So go easy on yourself. Appreciate that you just kind of jumped off the healthy habits that you want to set for yourself, and just veer yourself back without beating yourself up. And that's all you got to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes during the weekend, we can eat something. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it is not as healthy as we are used to. But then on Monday, we start all over again. And Heather, you've accomplished a lot in modeling and now in the writing world. What are your next goals?
That's a really good question. I don't really know. I have a website that I enjoy writing a monthly newsletter to kind of continue the conversation around fitness and skincare and wellness, because I'm always learning. And what I also talk about in my book is that life is a process, remaining open to new information, and always, being in a place of what else can I learn? How else can I, tweak my routine to kind of be a little bit better? My book isn't the be all end all Bible of the world. It's just an opening towards, a new approach, and so I like to continue that conversation. So people can go to paidtobeperfect.com and sign up for that newsletter, and hopefully we can kind of continue that conversation together. I don't know if I'll end up speaking or doing other things. I have a children's book that I wrote that I'd love to share with the world, and even based on that newsletter, I've had some other thoughts about some other topics that I might want to write about someday. So I'll continue to write because I love to write, whether that's in a newsletter form or whatever form that takes. Yeah.
Yeah, writing is wonderful. And Heather, would you like to give an advice, or what advice do you have for anyone who wants to enter the modeling industry? This is difficult, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there is an element of you have to be in the right place at the right time, for sure. Like anything, and like any career, like anything in life. For me, I was in the city. I lived in the city that the companies that I ended up getting a contract with, they were located here as well. So that was really, really helpful. I think that having a clear ability to communicate what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, I think you need that before you enter this industry. But really just reaching out to various agencies, reaching out to various companies. I have a little part 2 in my book. It's called the Fit Model Manual, and I go through several steps that aspiring models, and fit models specifically, can use excuse me, to really get deep into that. But modeling is like anything else. It's really, if you're in the right place at the right time. The cool thing about modeling in today's day and age is you don't have to be, one particular shape or size. I love getting ads, lately from workout companies like Aloe. They send these ads. It has the skinny model and then the more curvy model, and it's so beautiful that like there's so many shapes and sizes and colors represented and ethnicities. I love the way the market is going. So yeah, so it's a cool time to kind of get into modeling because also social media has made things, it's evened the bar a bit. It doesn't have to be the 6 foot tall,
Yeah.
weighs nothing girl. There's so many different heights, and it's just the modeling world is so much bigger. So if you have a desire to get into it, I would say just go for it, and find the market, find the market, find the client that loves you. Don't try to conform into something you're not, some shape, some size, some person that you're not. Find the company that loves you and loves you as you are, and that's my biggest piece of advice.
Well, this was a great advice, and actually, you talk about it in your book, Paid to Be Perfect. So your book is like a manual. Can I say that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like it's the secret to finding your perfect. It's that's the subtitle of the book, Paid to Be Perfect, the secret to finding your perfect. And I share throughout what my perfect is, but I also share throughout that that's just for context. It's just for reference of showing you what my perfect is. My perfect may look completely different from your perfect, and that's okay. So I just kind of show people kind of like how I've found my perfect in an effort for the reader to find their perfect.
Wonderful. And Heather, where can our audience find you? And of course, Paid to Be Perfect.
Yes, they can go to my website at paidtobeperfect.com. And like I said, they can sign up for my newsletter there, which is, a fun little side thing. I have articles that I love on the website because, like I said, I'm also always learning. So I like to share anything new that comes along that's not in the book. And then I have everything really in the book, all the resources that I have in the book, all my health and wellness gurus, all the skincare that I use, they're all on the website. Links to all that is on the website. And I also have a little store on my website with perfect merchandise, like t-shirts and a little hat and, a bracelet that looks like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there we go. It's backwards, but
Oh, perfect. I can see it. Oh, yes. Oh, that's amazing. So, Heather, it's just beautiful the way you describe your book, and it can, I believe that what you say, that we are all perfect in our own way. Yeah, this is the most important thing. There is no magical formulas. It's just a matter of eating properly and finding what your metabolism or what your body needs. And I really appreciate your time spending with us. And yeah, you're always welcome to Uncut with Lucia. And I wish you success and keep writing.
thank you so much. I wish you so much success too. And you're so wonderful and easy to talk to. And I just appreciate being here again. So great to meet you.
Thank you. And thank you to our viewers. I'm sure everybody is going to check out your book and your website.